You're listening to Thunderquack Podcast Network. This is the Thunderquack Podcast, the official podcast of Thunderquack Podcast Network, where anything can happen. So strap yourselves in and hold on to your butts. It's Thunderquack time!
Hey, welcome back to, I guess, the Thunderquack Podcast. I am one of your hosts, Michael Cohen, and I'm all by myself. That's why the intro is weird. It is not the same as usual, because I'm solo this evening. Now, here's the deal. So, Carl and I were supposed to record Metaphysical Fiction, but he recently got a new job, and it is just not working with his schedule. So, sorry, excuse me. So we're on indefinite hiatus. This is kind of like when Pullbox went on hiatus and Cartoon Afternoon went on hiatus with Curtis. And we've yet to bring either of those back. But actually, maybe I'll have news about one of those two things coming back soon. But I maybe or maybe not, completely unrelated to this, or you guys can figure that one out. Put it together. And it's Amanda's week off. So she's got other stuff going on. And also is just not required. She's just not required to podcast when it's not her week. So here I am by myself talking to myself. Which, hey, you guys are used to this at this point. If you are a Patreon supporter at the $5 level or above, then you've heard me do this multiple times now over on Off the Record. But this isn't an Off the Record, because normally you guys would be getting a regular release of an episode of Metaphysical Fiction, where Patreon supporters at $1 are going to get that early, and then everybody else gets it Friday. The same deal. Patreon.com/Thunderquack. Thank you to our Patreon producers, Brian Mirowski and JJ Samuel. You guys know all that stuff. But the Off the Record is the exclusive one, so this isn't technically an Off the Record, although it is very similar. But the difference there being, this is not exclusive. This is going out to everybody on podcast services across the galaxy on Friday. So, what I'm gonna do tonight, though, because this is a little bit, I'm calling an audible and just kind of getting into it. Tonight, as I record this, actually just a few hours ago, they released the trailer, finally, a teaser trailer for Spider-Man No Way Home. So I'm gonna do basically a rewind on it, a review. I'm gonna a running commentary, but it's only a 3-minute trailer, so I'm not going to just talk over the trailer, but I do have it up. I'm going to play it while I talk about it. Obviously, if you haven't seen the other Spider-Man movies in the MCU, then you're going to get spoiled here, because that context is very important. I'm going to get into it. So if you don't want to know anything about Spider-Man No Way Home, the third Spider-Man movie for Tom Holland's incarnation of Spider-Man, then stop listening, because I'm going to talk about it. I feel like that's really self-explanatory. I think you guys get it. So without further ado, I think I'm just going to get right into it. We're going to talk about it, and when I'm done, I'm done. That's the way it's going to be this week. Hope you guys enjoy it. Spider-Man No Way Home is coming out Let's see. When does it come out? When is this movie? December 17th this year. It's crazy that we're getting a Spider-Man movie this year. I feel like we've all been talking about it, but I don't know if it's, yeah, I just don't know if it's like, it doesn't feel real, I guess. I don't know. With COVID the way that it is right now, no movie releases feel real. Speaking of Sony Pictures and Spider-Man, Sony Pictures also doing Ghostbusters Afterlife this year. They're screening the whole thing at CinemaCon for the attendees at that convention right now, which is it's very weird. It's very weird that they're showing the whole movie with a month and a half to go before it's actually released. It feels a bit unfair. It feels a bit like they're about to ruin the surprises that are in their own film. Yeah, it is what it is, I guess. I'm wondering, I don't know who can go to CinemaCon, because I feel like CinemaCon, yeah, so welcome to CinemaCon, the largest and most important gathering of movie theater owners from around the world. So I don't think that the general public can just attend CinemaCon, which is such a weird place for them to show all of Ghostbusters Afterlife. Such a weird thing to do. This is not the right crowd, not the right audience in my opinion, but I guess I don't get to make that call. That's up to Sony. But we're not going to talk about Ghostbusters. We're going to talk about Spider-Man. So this is the third Spider-Man movie in the MCU. Spider-Man proper. I mean, obviously he has shown up in Civil War, Infinity War, and Endgame. But this is one of his three movies. You know, Homecoming, Far From Home, and then No Way Home. I actually just watched Far From Home. Was that Saturday night? We watched Far From Home. Man, what a great movie that is. I mean, you guys know how I feel about the MCU. The Spider-Man movies in particular, I think are some of the better ones. I'm so excited because John Watts, who directed the 3 Spider-Man movies, is also going to be directing Fantastic Four for the MCU, which says to me that Spider-Man will almost certainly be in the Fantastic Four movie at some point, which is very cool. Because I mean, longtime comic fans will know that that's a main story from that. And it's just so funny because it's like one of those things where, you know, it was Fantastic Four was Fox, Spider-Man was Sony. The thought of ever having Spider-Man in a Fantastic Four movie was absurd. These characters will never cross over, but it goes back to the origins of the character. The Human Torch, Johnny Storm, and Spider-Man / Peter Parker are good buddies in the comics. They are longtime friends. And so I am very excited to hopefully see that dynamic on screen at some point with Tom Holland Spider-Man, and then like to get Human Torch in a Spider-Man movie, like, because if we could get the movie version of Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends, then yeah, that would be so cool. But anyways, I'm getting way off topic. No Way Home, for those who don't know, is looking to be very multiverse based, like a lot of the MCU stuff is right now. The trailer definitely shows us a lot of that component. I mean, Doctor Strange even mentions multiverse. Doctor Strange is in it. Doctor Strange is not just in it, he seems to be a pretty central character. If the trailer is being truthful, which, I mean, take that with a massive grain of salt. But he's certainly all over this trailer. the whole multiverse component of it is all over it. There have been rumors for the last year and a half about Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield coming back, about Spider-Verse stuff, all of that, and it all sort of connecting in, and there appear to be some aspects of this trailer that certainly confirm some of that. Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire, not so much, but Alfred Molina, I mean, he let it slip a few months back that he is in Spider-Man No Way Home. So, you know, we get to see him in the trailer. We also see a pumpkin bomb from none other than Willem Dafoe's Green Goblin, who we have also kind of gotten, I don't know if it's been confirmed or if it's just rumors that he's in it. Michael Keaton, I think, is going to be back as the Vulture. I think we will get the Sinister Six. I think that before long we're going to discover that maybe even Sandman is coming back, and some of the other characters, because man, Sinister Six, there's been so many incarnations of the Sinister Six, but a great lineup for them. And what a wonderful way to do it, like to just introduce all these characters, bring them all together from throughout the multiverse. A great lineup would be Green Goblin, Dr. Octopus, Sandman, Electro, who we also are pretty confident is in this. So what's that? We got 4 there. The Lizard, and I mean, we could bring in the Shocker from the MC. Oh no, sorry, Vulture coming in there. Actually, as a matter of fact, Green Goblin, Octopus, what did I just say? Sandman, Electro, Vulture. What did I just? I literally just said them. I said another one, didn't I? The Lizard? Did I just? Yeah, the Lizard. So those are, because those are all characters that we've seen across the 3 Spider-Man franchises, the Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield, and Tom Holland. But to see them all come together, I mean, Mysterio you can also throw in there, because I do think we'll see a return from Mysterio. I have an idea, based on just rewatching Far From Home. I think that the one guy, sort of the other one that gets called out in Far From Home, as you know, like being one of the guys that Tony Stark wronged, the box of scraps guy. Well, I can't remember the character's name, but the sort of the bald guy with the mustache. He is the one who sort of like, he downloads the files and sort of flees at the end of the movie. Like we wouldn't be seeing that if that weren't to set up something else. And maybe it's just to set up the end, like the post-credit scene where Peter gets revealed to the world. Excuse me, it's getting late. But and also when I talk for an extended period, my body is like, you need to yawn. In any case, I think that he's going to be, he is certainly behind the video. He's certainly behind that, the altered video, but I think that he's going to show up as Mysterio. And I think it'll be this thing of him like, Quentin Beck is dead. Jake Gyllenhaal's Quentin Beck is dead. But the whole thing about Mysterio is illusion tech. And what better way to continue the Mysterio character in a great twist than to have that other guy take on the visage of Quentin Beck, even though it's not actually him. So, you know, he's in the suit, but it's all like hollow projected or whatever, or maybe we don't even see his face. We're just seeing the helmet and it's just his voice. He's just, speaking in Quentin Beck's voice, or he's not even in the suit at all, and the suit is always just a holographic projection, or it's a robot, it's a synthezoid, something, right? Yeah, that could be great. Let's take a little drink there. But there are so many opportunities for that. So I don't know. That's 7 characters that could all come back. Which I guess that kind of makes sense, because we've got how many Spider-Man movies we have so far. I guess this will be 8, right? Because we'll have the 2 trilogies, and then the Amazing Spider-Man. It's just the 2 movies, but some of them have more than one villain. I'm wondering if they'll introduce a new villain in No Way Home. We're not gonna say the M word. Maybe I will. Because there's some stuff that's definitely Spider-Man's kind of making a deal with the devil, but they've got Strange in there as a proxy for that. So in the comics, in Civil War, Spider-Man's identity was revealed. He voluntarily revealed his identity as part of Civil War, because it was the whole superhero registration thing, right? So it was like, oh, Tony Stark and the government were like, hey, reveal your identities and become government employees, basically. And then Cap was like, no, that's your freedom, and blah blah blah. And Spidey went along with the registration side of things. And revealed his identity, and in doing so, who gets killed? It's supposed to be him, I think, but it ends up being, I think it's Aunt May that gets killed, that gets shot instead of him, and by a sniper who's trying to kill Spider-Man, obviously, and he makes a deal with Mephisto to change the world so that nobody knows that he's Spider-Man anymore. So as if nobody knew that he was Spider-Man. It's called Brand New Day, and it's one of the more recent sort of resets for Spider-Man. I mean, it was a pretty massive soft reboot, if you want to call it a soft reboot, because it's not like New 52 with DC, where it rebooted the whole universe. It's not like House of M that altered everything for everybody at a certain point and then went back to normal. Brand New Day really just affected Spider-Man and his characters as it was designed to. So there's a component here of that for sure that's at play. So people are wondering, is Mephisto going to get introduced with this? But I don't know. I think that whole Mephisto thing has been like, everybody's been everything about WandaVision was Mephisto, but I don't think we're gonna see it. I don't think that the MCU, I don't think Disney wants to bring in a character who is essentially the devil. It's a bit of a weird choice, a bit of a stretch. But even for the MCU, I'm not saying that they couldn't do it and do it well, but it might not play well with certain audiences. So I think that they're going to avoid it. But all of that to say, you know what? Let's get into watching the actual trailer. I'm going to start playing the trailer now. So if you haven't seen the trailer, go watch it first, because I'm going to pause and talk about stuff and whatever. I've already talked about a lot, but I love the way that this opens with the rooftop stuff, and just with MJ and Peter, being sweet and coupley. But then we very quickly show, the aftermath of Far From Home, right? And there's all this stuff about, did he kill Mysterio? Was it the drones or whatever? I'm wondering if Nick Fury will like sort any of this out, because obviously, I don't know. It just really feels like this is the sort of thing that Nick Fury should handle, but I don't know. Maybe there will be an explanation for that. Maybe he's still off world, but Peter's worried about it, and he's going to go to Doctor Strange to try and sort this out. I love this. I'm just going to pause here. So we come into the Sanctum Sanctorum, and everything is frozen. It's like everything's snowed in. There's no explanation in the trailer, but obviously a spell has gone wrong. Some artifact has been broken and frozen the whole place, and they're sorting it out. But Peter's here to ask his buddy Doctor Strange. This is so great when he's like, we saved half the world together. I think, you don't have to call me sir. But we see the black suit here for a second, which, if you've been paying attention to some of the merchandise releases that we got before this, here's a really interesting part. Here's something really, really interesting. Strange is still wearing the Eye of Agamotto. The Eye of Agamotto was protecting the Time Stone. The Time Stone is obviously not there anymore. Does the Eye of Agamotto still have power, or is he just wearing it because it looks good? Is it just an accessory at this point? I don't know. Was he wearing it in Endgame at the end of the movie? Trying to remember if he was still wearing it. But Peter's asking him, hey, can you fix this? Make everybody not know that I'm Spider-Man. And Wong is like, don't do the spell. And Strange is like, fine, I won't do this spell. And then he winks at Peter and he's like, I'm going to do the spell. And then they're going to go down to the basement. They're going to do the spell. Yeah, so he's wearing the Eye of Agamotto. But, like, why are you wearing the Eye of Agamotto if there's no... It must still have some sort of power. I'm sure it still channels something or, something or other. Also, the Time Stone, who knows? Who knows what the situation is with that? Because it's a Time Stone. Here's an interesting piece. I'm going to pause again. When the spell goes wrong, because Peter is distracting Strange, and it seems like he's sort of adding all these stipulations into it, making the spell more complex. When the spell bursts... I'm gonna inch back on my video. I really wish that I could do this. Like I wish that I had the technology or the know-how or the time to do this where I could like show you guys the video of what I'm talking about. But yeah, when the spell goes wrong, a bunch of colors arc out of it. It's very, very interesting. So right off the bat here, I see sort of a pinkish, a bluish, a red hue over there. Yeah, and then green. These sort of like arcs streaming out of it. And then we go to black, and then we come back again, and we've got the blue stream, red, yellow. There looks like purple in the background. Maybe that's a lens flare. I don't know. And the green one. But these colors are very reminiscent of the Infinity Stones. Now, here's the thing. So this is in the comics. The Infinity Stones actually can't be destroyed because they are, as the Collector says in Guardians of the Galaxy, concentrated ingots of these, elemental forces. Right? The stuff that the universe is comprised of. Wong explains it as well in Infinity War, right? And you can destroy the ingots, but you can't destroy the energy. It's the energy of the universe. And now we're getting into the multiverse stuff. it's the energy of the multiverse as well, right? So the Infinity Stones are one of the constants throughout the multiverse. Is like there's as far as I understand it, there's always a set of Infinity Stones, and so that energy bursting from this spell is very interesting. Now, in Loki, spoilers for Loki if you haven't watched it yet, but in Loki, we've established that the multiverse is much bigger than the Infinity Stones. It's a much bigger threat. It's a much bigger. There are much bigger power sources out there than the Infinity Stones, which up until this point we've been led to believe in the MCU at least that the Infinity Stones are everything. And one of the ways that they've done that really well is that they've made other key artifacts in the Marvel universe that are in the comics that are separate from the Infinity Gems in the comics. They've made those actually the sources of the Infinity Stones in some instances. So the Tesseract is known in the comics as the Cosmic Cube. But in the MCU, the Tesseract is the Space Gem. It's the Space Stone. And then obviously, as I've been talking about, the Eye of Agamotto actually being the Time Stone, which the Eye of Agamotto in the comics is just the Eye of Agamotto. I shouldn't say just. It is one of the most powerful artifacts in the in the Marvel Comics universe. But yeah, like they sort of smash some stuff together in order to I mean, I think initially just as Easter eggs, I think the Cosmic Cube being the Tesseract was initially just like oh cool, look at this, we're combining these two ideas, and obviously, you know, like there was a longer plan there, and I don't think that they had it all planned out, and I don't think they have this multiverse stuff necessarily all planned out. I think that they have the broader strokes and they know these are all of the pieces. Move them however you want. Just make sure when you're done, it's like do whatever you want with my toys. It's like Kevin Feige speaking. Do whatever you want with my toys, but when you're done, just make sure you put Spider-Man right here, because it's going to be important for Spider-Man to be right there, because they're going to put Loki over there and they're going to put Wanda over there. And it's all going to come together eventually. And the Fantastic Four and Kang and Ant-Man and Quantum Mania, yada, yada, yada. One thing that I've seen a lot on Twitter right now, this evening, is people reacting and going, oh, because all of the memes for all this year since WandaVision have been like, oh, Wanda and Loki screwing up the multiverse, causing all this chaos, and then Doctor Strange showing up being like, oh, what did you guys do? I gotta fix this now. And then this trailer is like, no. No, Kevin Feige must be so satisfied with himself at the moment, because he's just like, you guys have been barking up the wrong tree, because here's Doctor Strange messing with the multiverse as well, and with at the behest of Spider-Man, and causing all sorts of chaos. So it looks like Strange is just as responsible as those others. And I love it. I think it's fantastic, because I actually think it's gonna be Ant-Man who has to come in and save the day again, and I think that there will be a joke in Quantum Mania of him doing stuff and dealing with Kang and being like, because look, not Infinity War, Endgame doesn't happen without Scott Lang. It's his plan. It was his plan to time travel back to before the stones were destroyed and get them, and undo everything, snap, and bring everybody back. That was all him, and they couldn't have done it without him and the quantum tunnel and all of that stuff. And obviously everybody else. It's a team thing, so everybody contributes. But Scott coming back, that rat is actually the hero. But Scott coming back that rat is Sebastian from Suicide Squad, but in the MCU, because we're talking about multiverse theory. If you haven't seen the Suicide Squad, go watch it. Great movie. Or if you're in the States, watch it on HBO Max. Man, I'm so jealous. I would love to be able to just watch it again at home. But yeah, in any case, I think we're gonna get through this one. It's gonna be more chaos. We're gonna get into Multiverse of Madness. It'll be even more chaos and all of that sort of stuff. And then Quantumania is gonna be the one where it's like, Ant-Man and Hank Pym, Scott and Hank, and along with Janet and Hope. They have to start putting stuff back together. TVA in the quantum realm, calling it now. That is my expectation. Let's get back into this trailer. I'm gonna hit play again. I like that we're seeing this side of Doctor Strange again. We haven't seen this since the first Doctor Strange movie. He is reckless and arrogant, and thinks that he is more in control of the situation than he actually is. And I think post Endgame, he's going to have even more hubris because he was right and they saved the day. I'm going to pause here on this screenshot of Doctor Strange knocking Peter's astral form out of Spider-Man. Spider-Man's holding some sort of an artifact in his hands, in one hand. It's some sort of a box. It has the Sanctum Sanctorum symbol on it. What does it mean? What could it possibly mean? I don't know. I don't think we see this object anywhere else in the trailer. And so this sanctum, so the window on the sanctum, the Eye of Agamotto, and this box all have the same symbology. It's not exactly the same, but it's the circle with the lines, right? I mean, it looks very similar on this box, but this box has multiple sides, and each one looks like it's sort of got a different arrangement of the circle with the lines, which reads to me as, these are like hexes or whatever. This is crazy. This one shot of like they're in the Grand Canyon on a subway train from New York, and then Strange splits it into like multiple trains and surrounds them. You know what? The more that I think about it, the more we go through this, the more I think that this is just the first act of the movie, and then they like sort it out, but it doesn't. Maybe it doesn't take, because then we've got Spidey on this highway, like this elevated highway, freeway thing or whatever. I don't know New York, so he's in the Iron Spider suit, and we're gonna see in a second who comes out. Would you get one shot of Happy, which is cool. So we know that he's in it for sure. What was that behind you, Peter? What was that behind you in the next shot? Let's go back. What is that? So Peter's standing there. He's in a suit, black. So let's go inch forward. There's something in the dark, and it comes out, and it tries. Is that? It's really hard to tell because it's so grainy. I think it might be one of I think it's one of Doc Ock's. That one of his tendrils, but then something seems to hit it. It's like an explosion. Maybe it looks mystical in nature. Maybe it's Doctor Strange. We do see a very large lightning bolt in the next shot. Yellow lightning bolt. I'm going to go ahead and assume that that's our good buddy Electro. Jamie Foxx reprising that role. And then, so this is sort of like the 1, 2, 3. Because then we get the pumpkin bomb rolling in, and we hear a little bit of laughing. It definitely sounds like Willem Dafoe's Green Goblin. Hard to mistake it. And I mean, it is very obviously one of his pumpkin bombs from the first Spider-Man movie. Such a distinctive design, looks fantastic. And then exploding highway bridge thing. And then careful what you wish for, Parker. Who's that lady? I don't know. But then we get the Doc Ock tentacle coming out. And Alfred Molina. There he is. There he is in the green trench coat with the goggles. Is he wearing goggles or is he wearing... I'm going to just go back for a second. Maybe he's just wearing the glasses right now. But regardless, he's looking fantastic. Peter in that suit again. Oh, he's just got the glasses on, but that's okay. He looks great. He's looking like Dr. Octopus. Fantastic. Yeah, I think maybe Peter's supposed to be on the way to his court date or something like that. And then, yeah, I think we're getting multiple scenes here, and I don't think that we'll get all of them all at once, but we are. Let's see. Oh, I guess that's. No, I don't know. I don't know. I'm not gonna pretend like I can figure out based on these signs what highway. I mean, it says 95 South. One, is that a 1? Maybe it's a 1 South. George Washington Bridge, Newark, New Jersey. So yeah, I don't know. I guess they're on an on-ramp to a bridge. Whatever. Yeah, and that's pretty much it. That's pretty much the trailer. Getting the Spider-Man No Way Home logo, and December 17th in premium formats, exclusively in movie theaters everywhere. Hopefully this pandemic situation is a little bit more sorted out by the time we make it to December 17th. It's been a little bit chaotic the last little bit. As I've said, I don't know if I said it on a podcast, but I just got to make it past September 2nd, I guess, at this point. I have my tickets for Shang-Chi. So we just got to kind of... I mean, they just announced in British Columbia, sort of what's going to happen over the next few months. And vaccine passport or vaccine card. Basically, you have to have proof of vaccination in order to go into public... not public places, because it's not like they'll be like keeping you out of the shopping mall or something, but like things like sporting events. Sounds like the movie theater, which would be great, make me very happy. I'm gonna continue to wear my mask. I just like I did for Suicide Squad, I will wear my mask at Shang-Chi. I'm gonna continue to be safe. That's basically it. They're going to talk about schools tomorrow. They're going to announce what the plan is for the school year. Kara's starting kindergarten in a couple of weeks, so definitely keeping an eye on that. But I'm really hoping that that these new regulations, they're not really restrictions. It's just like, hey, in order to go into these places, you're going to have to be vaccinated, which it's unfortunate that we're at this point and we have to do this, but people are being unsafe. They are not following the rules. They are not getting vaccinated when they should be. Not keeping other people safe. People who are unable to get vaccines, it sounds like, aren't going to be able to. There aren't going to be exceptions made for those people, which that kind of sucks. But we're here at this juncture. I hate it because it's punishing them, but the people who misbehaved are really the people who didn't get vaccinated, and aren't wearing masks in public places and all that sort of stuff, just spreading the virus around and letting the Delta variant continue to proliferate and mutate before we can get a handle on things. It's driving me nuts, but hopefully by December 17th, like here's the real big hope. I'm crossing my fingers on this one. Hoping for good vibes, in whatever way, that whatever that means, that these under 12 vaccines get the whatever the doses or however they're looking at it. These trials get approved, or the not the trials get approved. They're already doing the trials, but the data from the trials leads to an approval so that kids under 12 can start getting vaccinated. Would be awesome if Kara could have her first dose before Halloween so that we can go ahead and actually have Halloween this year without being too worried about it. Do that whole thing this year. It would be nice. Be able to go see Ghostbusters in the movie theater with her would be very nice. And then to be able to take her to this, obviously, hopefully she's gotten both of her shots by the time that we hit December 17th. It's so frustrating, but hopefully the people who make these calls, who put these regulations and policies in place. I don't want to say the people in charge because we're in charge because we vote, we represent ourselves, but that's fine. However you want to look at it. The people who are charged with the responsibility of these tasks, who I don't envy. Hopefully the things that they're putting into place at the recommendation of scientists and doctors do enough to slow things down, because I think the most important thing to remember with this latest round, because it's not just happening here. I know that these the proof of vaccination stuff is happening all over the place. The reason to support it is this is not like lockdown. This is a different situation. The point of these new measures and proof of vaccination is to allow us to get back to business as usual, but to do it in a way that everybody is safe in doing so, and that there's some sort of a guarantee. Because right now you got a lot of people lying about the fact that they've been vaccinated. The numbers prove that, because you go out in the world and everybody says they've got their 2 shots, and the reality, the reality is that it's more than 25% of people out there who are eligible to be vaccinated have not been vaccinated. And the fact that I haven't encountered those people in my day-to-day life is a very interesting. It's a very interesting way to look at it. It's not possible, statistically speaking. I am encountering people who are not vaccinated, which is obviously the danger. And even if you do have both of your shots, you can still get COVID and you can still carry it and spread it. So that's why I say I'll keep wearing my mask even though I'm fully vaccinated. And I'll take a 3rd shot whenever they offer it to me, like I said last week. But it's really it's those people who have not gotten vaccinated yet. And look, I don't think the vaccine was just approved by the FDA in the United States, which is not the important part. The CDC recommending it is the important part. The FDA was just it was an excuse that anti-vaxxers and these right-wing alt-right, I should say, mouthpieces were just using to honestly manipulate people. That's the reality of it, is that they're using fear to manipulate people, and then saying this is one of those. I always say this: when someone accuses you of doing something wrong, I would say 9 times out of 10, which is a statistic I'm pulling out of my butt, but 9 times out of 10, it's because that person is actively engaging in doing that wrong thing. So when somebody is like, hey, don't let that person bring that backpack in here, they're going to use it to steal stuff from this store, it's because that person has at some point in their life engaged in that activity. That's my own personal belief. I don't trust people in general. When people say stuff like that, when people react like that, when people say you're lying, it's usually because it's usually because they are in fact a liar. I which I know is like it's one of those catch-22s, and then you guys could say to me, well, you said that people are lying about their vaccination status. I'll show you my vaccine card. I've definitely been vaccinated. But that's the thing, is that like people who have been vaccinated, no problem. Nothing to be worried about. You got your status there, you got your card. It's not about controlling people, it's about public safety, it's about social responsibility. And if you can't understand that, I just don't know. But I don't think those individuals who are parroting those marching orders from the right wing nut job conservative pundits, blah blah blah, take your pick, they're not going to be convinced one way or another. You're never gonna sway them, and putting these regulations in place just means they're gonna show up and they're just gonna scream at the poor unfortunate people who are definitely not getting paid enough to deal with that nonsense. So disrespectful. It's so upsetting. It's so frustrating. Because, like the guy at the grocery store, he is not making enough money to put up with your nonsense. He is not. It's totally unfair. Their jobs are difficult enough, and they are paid low enough as it is. You don't need to add this on top of it. So that's where I get like it's not even. I don't even. That's where the whole like, hey, you're denying science and being an idiot and putting other people in danger, that doesn't even come into that argument. It doesn't need to, because right at the outset, just the lack of respect for people just trying to do their jobs, thankless jobs. Like I said, they're not getting paid enough. It just, that pisses me off before you even get to the fact that it's like you are endangering that person as well, spitting in their face as you yell at them. And you're denying science, which I don't have any patience or time for. Yeah, it's frustrating. But I do think that there are some people that are on the fence. There are some people who are hemming and hawing or hesitant for whatever reason. And those people, I think, are now going to get sort of motivated and pushed into it. And then we can hit that 80% mark that we need to hit. It's somewhere around 80%. I can't remember what the exact stat is, but it's somewhere around 80%. We got to hit that. And then that's sort of the tipping point where the hope, theoretically, and again, that is science, is theory, right? It's hypothesis, and the scientific method is a way of using evidence to support a hypothesis. I always want to be careful when I'm talking about this stuff of like, you're not really proving anything. Very, very few theories get proven, right? Like it's like the theory of relativity is a theory, right? We have theories of gravity, and we have evidence to support those hypotheses, but the theory of evolution is a theory. I mean, like, we take them as academic fact at this point because they are pretty hard to disprove. Absence of proof is not proof, which is the thing. Sorry, I didn't finish that thought. Absence of proof is not proof of absence is the full saying, but you guys get what I'm saying, right? It's trusting in science is not trusting the facts blindly that other people tell you. Trusting in science is trusting in the scientific method. It's trusting in the process of having a hypothesis, performing an experiment, and coming to a conclusion based on that experiment. Something becomes a scientific fact when that experiment is replicated successfully, and the outcomes point in a similar or same direction. And some things are easier than others, right? We know that gravity is a force because any one of us can pick up any object that is next to us and drop it and see that it falls to the ground. it's harder to observe the fact that, you know, we're on a globe, a big ball of dirt spinning around the sun, which is itself spinning around the core of the galaxy, and the galaxy itself is possibly spinning. I'm not 100% sure on the science on this one. Is it spinning around the core of the universe? There is no the problem with the universe is that the only thing that we know about the universe is what's observable to us, which is only the light that has been able to travel to us so far. That's how. So there's a radius of how much of the universe we can observe. That's what when people say the known universe, that's what we're talking about, as opposed to the potential infinity of the universe, which we expect is out there, but cannot be proven because, I mean, cannot be seen but can be proven through theory by looking at materials in the universe, in the known universe, and their trajectories, and understanding that some of the light that we're looking at that is hitting us now is from billions of years ago. Blah blah blah. Oh my god, this is so boring, isn't it? I'm just being a huge nerd, which is appropriate coming off of Spider-Man, but yeah, there's a reason why that character really hits with a lot of us in the fan community, because we are also massive science nerds. And yeah, anyways, I'm boring myself with this conversation, probably boring you guys. I hope that you enjoyed me breaking down the Spider-Man No Way Home trailer. There's a lot of stuff in there, you know, that's worth talking about that I didn't get into, that maybe we'll get into in the future. One thing that I think is really important to note for everybody is I don't take Doctor Strange's successes in his MCU appearances as an indicator of his current skill level or aptitude. Stephen Strange is a genius, much like Tony Stark. Go figure. He has the ability to absorb a great deal of information at an astonishing rate, much like Tony Stark. And he is also very good at ignoring the Dunning-Kruger effect and getting in way over his head, leaping before looking, thinking that he is capable of more than he actually is, much like Tony Stark. In the same way that at the beginning of Age of Ultron, Tony is like, I'm just going to take this cosmic object that I don't fully understand and recognize that there's some sort of an artificial, but actually not artificial, and synthetic, but not really synthetic, just not understandable by his definition of a mind, inside this object, and I am going to use it to create an artificial intelligence that's going to become Ultron and is going to try and destroy the world. In the same way that Tony does that, Stephen Strange is going to try and help Peter Parker, because I mean, they are colleagues, they are maybe even friends, I don't know. The trailer is kind of pointing towards that. And also because, like Barney Stinson in How I Met Your Mother, when a challenge is presented, he can't back down. And I think that is more so what's at play here than anything. Which, you know, yeah, yeah. Stephen Strange, when he is presented with a no, doubles down on the yes. And we see it in the trailer, Wong telling him, don't do it. And he says, I won't. And then he winks because he's going to do it anyways, because he wants to believe that he is, that being the Sorcerer Supreme, he is destined to be the Sorcerer Supreme. evidence shows that he is not quite there yet. And of course, it's a continual learning process. But Stephen Strange, really big on thinking that he knows everything and that he's the smartest person in the room, which sometimes he is. But if Wong's in the room, then he's not. And I love their dynamic, and it's fantastic, and I can't wait to see more of it. Wong is such a great character, one of the most underrated but important characters in the MCU. What a fantastic character. Yeah. So Strange acting in this very arrogant, very I love it because he's like admonishing Peter at the same time that he is the one screwing up the spell, because it's above his skill level, and it's like, this is your fault. And he's yeah. It's like, maybe you shouldn't have done it in the first place, Strange. But we'll talk more about that stuff in December after we've seen Spider-Man No Way Home. Thank you guys for listening. Thanks for hanging out. 55 minutes. Look at that. We did it. Hey. We did it. Good job, us. This is a team effort, because you know what? I couldn't talk for an hour about Spider-Man, the MCU, and my ridiculous misunderstanding of science. That's me trying to account for the fact that the Dunning-Kruger effect exists, and that I think I have a lot of knowledge, but I just have a little bit of knowledge about some of this stuff, and I'm overconfident about how much knowledge I actually have. So please feel free to hit me on Twitter. Don't hit me up, just hit me on Twitter with large objects and tell me that my science is not fully understood. It's fine by me. I'm an artist anyways. Doesn't matter. No skin off my nose. But thank you guys for listening. And thank you, because like I'm saying, if you guys weren't listening, I would not have the ability on a Monday night at 10:23 to be talking like this. Very tired. Want to go to sleep. Got a headache. My eyes hurt. It was a very busy weekend. It was Kara's birthday, and we went to the water park the day after. I mean, like, it was her birthday party, and then it was technically her birthday. And on the day that it was technically her birthday, we went to the water park, which is exhausting. I don't know if you know that. Oh, listen to this before bed, I guess. Is that some ASMR right there? Me yawning like that? Yeah. Going to the water park is an exhausting endeavor regardless. But when you are, as I like to say, closer to 40 than you are to 30, and dealing with 2 children, yeah, it's exhausting. I'm very tired. So that's it. We're done. We're done here. We're done. Go about your business. Go listen to another podcast. Bad Batch is done for the season, so you can listen to all of Rebel Cells. Or I don't know, maybe go listen to the Riverdale Gang, because Riverdale is back. Or go listen to The Saga Continues. Go listen to somebody who's got some energy. Talk about something more interesting than me blabbering about the universe expanding. That's it for this one. I'll be back next week with Amanda for a regular episode of the Thunderquack podcast. Something else will be taking the place of metaphysical fiction. I don't know how clear I was about that at the beginning before I got off on tangents. I don't know what that is yet, but hey, I just bought myself 4 weeks to figure it out. So, with that, we're done here. Thank you guys for listening. We will catch you on the next episode. And I guess since I'm by myself, I'll use my off-the-record sign-off, which is stay frosty. Follow the Thunderquack Podcast on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook by searching the Thunderquack Podcast. You can support us in 3 ways. First, by heading to the podcast service of your choice and leaving a rating and review. Second, by going to store.thunderquack.com to pick up some merch from your favorite podcasts. And last but not least, by heading to patreon.com/thunderquack to kick in with your monthly pledge of support and get cool rewards like early access and extended episodes. The Thunderquack Podcast is the official podcast of thunderquack.com. Head to thunderquack.com to discover more great podcasts.